You got to meet Obama, right?
I did get to meet
I saw
Obama.
a video with you and him.
He is like fantastic.
Really?
You know, he's so smart, so kind. And I think like fundamentally a really good person. And I think he got involved in politics for all the right reasons. And I'd say that about like, you know, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. These are people who dedicated their life to public service. Kamala Harris was district attorney of San Francisco, then attorney general in California, senator, vice president. Like she spent her life fighting for people.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Trump got involved in politics for all the wrong reasons, right? This is somebody who had a silver spoon in his mouth growing up. He's a wealthy billionaire. And ran for president in 2016, I think unexpectedly won, and then, of course, ran for re-election in 2020, lost. And now I think he's running to keep himself out of prison, personally.
Wow.
Yeah, because he's facing over 700 years.
Holy crap.
So, oh, yeah, if he's convicted, I mean, that's incredibly unlikely, but if he's convicted of all the crimes alleged against him, and he gets the maximum for all of them, he'd be spending over 700 years.
Were those the 34 felony counts?
It's those and the other indictments that are pending.
Oh, there's pending. There's
Oh,
more.
yeah. He has two... he has one in Georgia for trying to overturn the election there. He has one in D.C. for January 6th and trying to overturn the election nationally. And then one is still going on in Florida. It's currently dismissed, but the 11th Circuit, which is the court that kind of covers that area, is going to reinstate it almost certainly.
What was that one about in the one in Florida?
That was the classified documents.
Oh, classified. Damn.
Yeah. So Trump, So Trump, after he left office, he took classified documents from the White House. He knowingly did it. And he...
I saw this, the raid at Mar-a-Lago, right?
Yeah, so that's what they were looking for. Like he had the nuclear secrets of foreign countries.
What?
Yeah, and a lot of these documents had information on human assets in other countries, meaning like U.S. spies, and that's really dangerous. These people, if their names get revealed, they could be killed. Right? These are people who are in Russia, Iran, China, and he had these documents just kind of lying around. And he knowingly had them. He refused to give them back. And of course, he was indicted for retaining national defense information. And the thing is, if either you or I did that, we'd be sitting in jail right now for the rest of our goddamn lives. So it's weird how, a lot of people are voting for that.
Yeah, I feel that. So when you see these conservatives like Vivek say government agencies have been weaponized,
yes.
What do you think about that?
I think it's nonsense.
Really?
I think it's nonsense. Yeah, when they say something like the FBI or the Department of Justice is targeting Trump, there's quite literally no evidence of that. In fact, it's the contrary. Like Trump has so much evidence against him in these cases. I'd say a lot of legal experts on both sides are saying if these went to trial, he would almost certainly be convicted. So it's just that it's not weaponization. It's like if you break the law and there's evidence you broke the law, you're going to be indicted. And they're not doing this. There's no evidence that like Biden coordinated or Kamala Harris coordinated. It's just that like Trump is on audio acknowledging he stole classified documents. Is the Vivek's argument that we should just ignore that and not indict him and not hold him accountable legally? It's also like it erodes the trust in the Department of Justice. It erodes the trust in the FBI. We even have Republicans saying we should defund the FBI.
Damn.
It's nonsense, right?
Yeah, I don't know if that'd be good.
I mean, the thing about the FBI is that they do so much work behind the scenes that we don't appreciate, right? So like every single day, there are terrorist attacks they stop. They're going after predators, murderers, things like that. And if they were defunded, we wouldn't be able to do that. But Trump and the Republicans have called for them to be defunded, called for the Department of Justice to be kind of like have a bunch of these lawyers fired and also defund the FBI. That is like, I can't even like put into words how bad that would be.
FBI one, I probably don't agree with, but IRS.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think a lot of your conservative friends would probably agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, we should fund the IRS, but that's just
really?
Me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you feel that way?
When we fund the IRS, I think the data shows that, they're not going to go after like middle income earners.
Yeah.
They're not like, if a middle income American like misses their taxes by like a little bit and they're not trying to deliberately commit fraud, they're not going to be indicted. But if we fund the IRS, we have the ability to go after really wealthy people who evade their taxes, and they benefit the most from evading their taxes. You know what I mean? So if we can hold those people accountable, make them pay their fair share, that makes all of our lives better because we can invest that in things like healthcare and building roads and bridges and improving our water systems. And that's things that Kamala Harris has talked about. Trump, not so much.
I will say the very wealthy, there's so many loopholes that most of them aren't even paying.
Exactly. And so that's also a huge issue in this election that Kamala Harris is talking about closing these loopholes, making the wealthy pay their fair share. And it's not like you have to give us 100% of your income. It's just pay your fair share like everybody else has to. But Trump is saying, let's give them another tax cut. It's like, what? They're already not paying. What, does Elon Musk need another yacht? I don't think so.
He did cut it when he was in office, right?
He did. And the 83% of the benefits went to the top 1%.
Yeah.
And everybody else kind of got screwed over. And so I hear from a lot of Republicans saying like, my taxes have gone up under Joe Biden. The funny thing is we're still under Donald Trump's tax plan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that doesn't expire. Some of it expires 2025. Most of it expires 2027. So right now we are still under Donald Trump's tax
Wow,
system.
I didn't know that.
So if your taxes have gone up in recent years, you can thank Donald Trump.
Yes, you can't blame Biden for that one.
100%. Exactly.
Now you're young, so you're going to start making serious money as you get older. Do you think your opinion on this will change as you make more money?
No, I mean, look, I don't like taxes. I don't like paying taxes. I'm not a fan of it. I mean, I don't think anybody is, but I shouldn't say I don't like paying taxes. I don't like because I would obviously like to have more money.
Right.
But I understand that taxes are a necessity to run a country well. And you can just see that in the United States compared to other countries. Like, I would argue that we are the greatest country on earth. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason that we're able to have the best military, invest in our healthcare system, invest in manufacturing, whatever. It's because we have taxes. So while I don't like it, it's really important,
My thing is, and you might disagree with this, is I feel like there's a lot of overspending going on.
Sure.
And you also don't really see where the tax money is going to exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't argue against more transparency with that stuff to see like where our tax dollars are going. And I think that there's probably waste somewhere in the government that we could, address. But maybe, I wouldn't be opposed to what you just kind of talked about, like more transparency.
So when you see Elon step in and want to fix that, what do you think about that?
Well, I think that Elon being in charge of a government agency would be really terrible. He was talking about cutting the I think it was spending by $3 trillion a year. But the thing is, our discretionary spending is like 2.7 trillion. So it's like, how would that even work, right? That makes no sense. And the fact that Trump is saying, hey, this guy is going to run a government agency to do this, and he doesn't know how much our discretionary spending is like, that's really concerning. We should have experts and people who've been doing this their entire lives in these agencies, not like Trump's buddies. Like, he's also talking about putting RFK Jr. in charge of all of the health agencies.
Right.
Why would we do that? This is, he put a bear cub in Central Park. He cut off a whale's head. I mean,
wait, what?
You've not heard about this?
No.
Yeah. RFK Jr. Like, he put a bear cub carcass in Central Park in New York City, and then never told anybody. It came up like 10 years later.
Why did he do that though?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Bear carcass.
Yeah.
Interesting.
A bear cub carcass. He cut off a whale's head and like tried to put it in his car and bring it home.
What?
Yes.
Yeah, I never heard about this.
It's so strange. And one of my main criticisms of RFK Jr., aside from like the vaccine stuff that he talks about, is he was asked about like sexual assault allegations against him, and his response was, "I'm no church boy." What does that mean? Why would that be your response? Does that mean that you've done something wrong? But aside from that, his opinions on health is awful. So overall, like having RFK Jr., Elon Musk, and all these strange individuals running these agencies, I think would be really catastrophic for the country.
So you feel like his messaging, though, of "Make America Healthy Again" is awful, or where do you disagree with him on the health aspect?
I mean, the whole like, I never really like his messaging of "Make America X, Y, or Z again." I don't like referencing the past as like a version of prosperity.
Okay.
I think we should be looking more forward, not again. I just don't really agree with the phrase, but I have no problem with like making America more healthy, like encouraging like healthy eating, exercising. But when it comes to like criticizing things like vaccines or just general healthcare, I think that's insane. We have so much data that suggests that these things work. There's a reason why you don't see anybody with an iron lung anymore, because we have a polio vaccine, right? So RFK Jr. criticizing that and COVID generally, it's just crazy.
So you're pro-vaccine because now kids are getting 74 ages 0 to 18.
What was that?
74 vaccines.
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely pro-vaccine.
So you like all of those, all 74?
Yeah, I mean, unless there's like a specific one you can point to that has data to suggest it's not.
Yeah.
I'm in favor. I mean, these are all like tried and tested and investigated by people who are, again, virologists. They're experts in these fields. They're not just being like, oh, let's just give the kids vaccines because it's fun. It's like, no, these are really necessary.
Well, they've done studies on them individually, and none of them have issues. I think the problem is when you give 5 in one day and then there's heavy metals in them. You know what I mean?
I mean, is there data to suggest that that's a problem?
I wouldn't know of any studies yet.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I don't think that there's any problem with that. I mean, people underestimate how strong the human body is and like how strong our immune system is. And you can have two viruses at once and have your body fight both of those.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, wow.
That's why we have that's what the purpose of a vaccine is, like producing the antibodies to fight it. And of course, again, no virologist here, so not an expert, but that's my understanding at least.
So Trump announced, I think yesterday, that he wants to get rid of big pharma, or it might have been RFK, big pharma advertising on television. Did you see that?
I did not actually see that, no.
Okay, so basically there's only 2 countries in the world that allow big pharma to advertise on commercials. It's the United States and New Zealand.
Wow.
So what do you think about them trying to remove them from advertising?
I mean, I don't know. I think I think like intuitively it sounds attractive as an idea, but then you kind of get into like, well, can the government really prevent people from advertising that? Like with cigarettes, you can do stuff like that because there's evidence that obviously cigarettes are bad for you. You shouldn't smoke. You'll get lung cancer primarily. But with health companies, I think the argument is like, well, are you infringing on their ability to be a business? Are you infringing on their right to engage in the market? And it's like, I don't know, maybe that's something that they put, not advertising over that. They prioritize that more so. But I'd say I'd probably stay away from that a little bit in my view. I probably wouldn't side with that.
Okay, that makes sense. Did you go to college?
I'm currently in college.
Oh, you're in college.
Yeah,
so this whole student loan forgiveness, where do you stand on that side?
I'm a fan of student loan forgiveness. I also think that there's data that says that it's helpful. Look, if President Biden talks about this a lot. If you can give people a little bit of breathing room, take a little bit of that debt off their table, they can do so much more. They can invest in a house. They can start a family. Maybe they want to move somewhere. They get out of their hometown and start a small business. They have more room to do that. And I think that's a good thing. I think, student loan forgiveness, people just kind of view it in very a two-dimensional way in the sense that, there's no benefit to it, right? You just give the money and then like nothing else happens. It's like, no, the economy actually grows when people don't have debt. They're more financially stable when they don't have debt. They're more willing to invest when they don't have debt. So if we can do that and help millions and millions of people, I mean, I think that the benefits are endless, So 100%
forgiveness, or is there a certain percent you want forgived?
Well, I don't think that there's a way right now for the government legally to forgive 100% of the debt without going through Congress. But through the mechanisms we have right now, and like Biden's plan of $10,000 or $20,000 for Pell Grant recipients, I have no problem with that. I think that'd be great.
I thought they passed something a year ago because my fiance told me they forgave it, but did something happen along the way?
Yeah, I mean, so President Biden signed an executive order for the plan I just talked about, the 10,000, 20,000. It was blocked by the Supreme Court. They said that he didn't have the authority to. That lawsuit was actually brought by Republicans. So, if folks out there have student loan debt and they want it forgiven, you can thank the Republicans for that not being the case.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So do the Republicans have control over the Supreme Court right now?
They do. It's a 6-3 majority.
Interesting.
So, and that's also another really important reason that Kamala Harris wins, because the president appoints Supreme Court justices. So if Trump wins, it's likely that two of them, who are the older ones, Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito, they'll retire and he'll get 2 more appointments. And
so it'll be 8-1?
No, they're Republicans or they're conservatives. So their seats would just be replaced, but they would have that 6-3 majority for like the next 20, 30 years because they're all very young. Yeah.
20, 30 years.
So if you don't this Supreme Court has overturned things like Roe v. Wade, taken reproductive rights away from women, at least on a federal protection level. They've obviously overturned the student loan forgiveness. They've rolled back gun regulation. They've rolled back climate regulation. They rolled back the Chevron deference, which is huge.
What's that?
Essentially, it gave federal agencies discretion over, if a law is vague, they'll say, well, the agency like the FDA or the EPA has discretion to interpret that law to enforce the regulation.
Got it.
So it gives more power to them to actually do their jobs. Now, the Supreme Court overturned that, saying that basically you have to go to courts and have them decide what a vague law means.
Right.
So unless a law is written in the exact way to address every possible outcome from the EPA, then you have to go to courts and get it figured out. And I don't think that judges should be deciding what's good EPA regulation and not. I think that experts in environmental science and who are experts in the environment generally and climate change and things like that, those folks should be deciding what is good regulation and what isn't.
I can agree with that.
And that's what the Supreme Court overturned. So if you don't want that anymore, if you want what I would say are justices that follow the law and interpret it not in a conservative or liberal way, then I would argue people should vote for Kamala Harris.
Makes sense from that point of view. Wherever you guys are watching this show, I would truly appreciate it if you follow or subscribe. It helps a lot with the algorithm. It helps us get bigger and better guests, and it helps us grow the team. Truly means a lot. Thank you guys for supporting, and here's the episode.